Hello YouTube. My name is Fabian. This will be my first episode on my YouTube channel. I'm going to pretty much make my YouTube channel about comic books and how I all got started into collecting comic books. I remember one day I was sitting at home and I was watching I believe it was AMC. It was the Robert Kirkman Secret History of Comics. And of course I watched all the episodes. And it got to episode 5. And it was called The Color of Comics. And I was sitting there and I was watching that episode. And I just found it very interesting that episode had aired that day. And I was looking at the episode and I'm like, you know what? I would think it would be pretty cool for me to grab one of those Milestone comic books. I'm like, well, what I heard, it's the first color, comic book that's modern. So I end up grabbing what I thought was the first comic book of Icon, of Milestone. It's called Icon. And I bought this book. And it's funny. This is a funny story. I bought this book. I bought it for $90. And I thought it was a comic book. But it actually wasn't. It was a paperback. And I found out there's a difference between a comic book, a paperback, and a hardback. So I was kind of disappointed when I found out that this wasn't literally a comic book. It was a paperback. But I didn't let that deter me at all. I actually went on and I bought Milestone's other first comic books that they came out with in the 90s, which is like Blood Syndicate and Static, #1 issue. I have those books. I don't have them with me right now, but that's going to be my second episode. I'm going to show you all the #1 books that I have with some of them. And you're going to know the reason why right here in this first video. Like I said, I watched that Robert Kirkman Secret History of Comics, and I had to grab an Icon book. I got one. It was a paperback book. And like I said, I was kind of disappointed, but I didn't let it deter me. And I turned around and I started buying other comic books I like. I'm like, wow, I like this. I like this book. So then one day, probably like 2 days later, I was sitting at home going through one of my tablets and I seen this digital comic book. And I was like, you know what? It was the Black Panther. You're like, you know what? Since I just bought a comic book, I have never read a comic book a day in my life, you guys. Like, I will always see them in newsstands and in bookstores and stuff like that. But I'll just look at them like, oh, that's just a comic book. I never thought how really important they was until probably like a month or two ago. They are very important, especially to history. So I was like, you know what? I clicked on the Black Panther, the digital one. I clicked on it and I read it and I was blown away. I was just completely blown away. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start collecting comic books. And I collect a lot of things. I collect like silver and stuff like that, gold and silver. I collect stuff like that. And people would say, in that category, the gold and silver category, oh, you got bit by the bug. You got a silver, you know what I mean, bit by the silver bug. So I believe I got bit by the comic book bug because I went fanatic and just started buying comic books, not just out of impulse or nothing like that. Not how I did this first book. I made sure that I did a whole bunch of research through YouTube. And before I went out and I just bought a comic book, started buying more comic books, like a crazy purchase, like a paperback. And so I didn't do that. I made sure I did my research, and I did. And I started buying comic books. And I was like, I started looking on YouTube. I'm like, what do they hold them in? And then I found out that comic book collectors hold them in boxes. So I went and bought me a colorful box. I'm going to show you guys that in episode 2. And the box that I got, it was like it said it held 150 comics. So I told myself, you know what, I'm going to buy 150 first issue comics. And I'm going to save them for my kids and stuff like that so they can have things to read, have things to turn into. and drawings to look at, because I started getting fascinated by all the drawings and things like that and who was making them. And I just started to read about a whole bunch of comics, and I was just like, you know what, I'm going to get a comic book. I'm going to buy first issues. And I started buying first issue comic books, like I said, about like 2 months ago. And I'm going to show you guys that in that episode, in episode 2. So this is the first very comic book that I bought, Icon. It's actually a paperback. So make sure you do your research before you run out and start buying comic books. And I got a couple more comic books that I want to show you guys that I have on me right now. But the rest of the episodes, I'm telling you guys, you're going to love, because I got a lot of different comic books that I have not seen on other people's channels, and they're number ones, and I think you guys are going to love what I have in store for you guys. So this was the first comic book. Here's some other comic books that, before we get to that, I definitely want to give some shout outs to Dante Benedict. He was one of the first channels on YouTube that I watched that got me started in like collecting 90s comic books and stuff like that, because they are really awesome looking comic books and very cheap. And of course, they're made in the 90s. So if you can't go out and find those ones that's completely rare, you know, those amazing Spider-Mans that cost like $139, or a first-time Superman, you can definitely afford some 90 comic books. And Dante Bennett is one of the people that turned me on to that. And trust me, I got a lot of #1 issue 90 comic books. So I thank Dante for that. And then I was searching again, just trying to find new comic book collectors, you know, people that collected comic books and they was new to it and one that had like a million questions to ask. And I was just looking for those people. And then I ran across a person named Jim Comics. He collect a lot of books. He's been collecting for some years, I'm assuming. And he always showing newer books and speculation books from what I hear. Like speculation books are like people speculate that might get more money in the future. Jim Comics got a lot of books, newer books, made right here in 2017, 2018, and he got some awesome books that I think everybody should get. Yeah, Jim Comics, that's a definitely good channel to go to. Another person that once I found Jim Comics, I ran across somebody else named Key Comic Market Watch. He has a very awesome channel. I like his channel a lot. I watch his channel all the time. I'm subscribed to him too. And then I'm, you know, as I get on YouTube, since I've been looking at comic books a lot, that's all that's popping up on my YouTube channel now. It's like comic books and channels and stuff like that. And then I came across another channel that I like a lot. His name is Boom Boom Comics. I like his channel, you know what I'm saying? He got a lot of different comic books that I never seen before. And I like his channel. I like his channel. I mean, I like things about it. And I figure that if they can make a channel, I can make a channel. All 4 of them guys inspire me to make a comic book channel for beginners, because I'm a beginner. I just started this year, like I said, probably like 2 months ago. And I'm going to show you guys my comic book collection that I have, that I've been collecting over the last 2 months. And I think there's some awesome books. So go check them guys out. They inspired me to make my YouTube channel of comic books. So we're going to get into these comic books that I have on me right now. And I think they're awesome books. I haven't read them yet, but the covers on them definitely look good. So here's one of the comic books that I have. It is Doomsday Clock. It is number 2. I have number 1 issues too. I think they came out with 4 different covers. So I actually bought all 4 different covers. I only seen 2 covers for this one. So I got this cover, and I'm going to go back actually sometime soon, very soon, to grab the 2nd cover of this one, because I like Doomsday Clock. And I haven't even read it. I just like the way it looks. But I am going to read it, because the first comic book I read was Black Panther, and it blew me away. So I know this is going to blow me away. Here's another book that I have on me. It is Weapon X. I see this all the time in other people comic books. So it's Weapon X. So I picked that book up, of course. We have Weapon X number 12. That's what that one is. I got The Punisher number 4, of course. I bought that book recently. Here's another book that I bought that I thought was going to sell out, but it actually didn't. And I think it's a beautiful book. And I know a lot about Phoenix. I really didn't even know nothing about really comic books. I knew about comic book people like Superman, Batman, you know, Spider-Man, the X-Men, you know, common people, you know, that you see every day. So when I started knowing that there's Punisher and the Black Panther and Luke Cage and stuff like that, I'm like, wait a minute. I have to start investing in comic books. I have to start reading these comic books. So here's a book that I think is just a speculation. I love the way this cover looks. I think will definitely go up in value soon. Well, not soon, but, you know, in the future. Phoenix Resurrection number 1. I love this cover. It's like a cover that comes in and out. Well, this one doesn't. But I have other comic books that's like come in and out. I can't think of the proper name right now. But I love this book. I love the way this book looks. I love this cover. I can see look like, I don't know, maybe Old Man Logan down there. You got Mystique up here. I like the way that book looked. They came out with another cover of it. And here that is. I bought that too. It seems like every time, if they come out with different covers, if I like the other cover, I would definitely grab it. Because you never know which cover might even go up in value. The book got the same content in it, but of course you got a different cover. And some people go after different covers. You know, like I can walk into a comic book store and see a cover and just want to just get the book, and I do. So I bought this book too, even though it's the same one as the first Phoenix. There's another comic that I like. I got DC Universe Rebirth. It's the Superman. It's probably kind of hard to see, but it's Superman. He's chained down. Then if you like flip it over, he breaking out of the chains. Like, I like that. That is awesome. That is a neat comic book cover. And then I have Venom Inc. Part 3, number 159. I heard this was a good book, and I heard good characters in it. Maniac. I haven't read about him yet, but I will soon. So I grabbed this book because I've seen on YouTube that people might want this book in the future. So I grabbed it. I'm going to definitely read it. And I grabbed it because of, you know, Maniac is on the front of it. And then I grabbed Dark Knight Metals number 4. I love the way this cover looks. I love the way the cover feels on the front of it. The reason why there's no boards in the back of this, because like I said, I just bought them. So you ain't going to see any boards in the back of these because I just bought them. I got to take them home, put boards in the back of them, and put them in new different covers. Acid-free covers, and have acid-free boards. And I got all that stuff at home. So I just haven't got home with these books yet. So I love the way this cover look. I have other Dark Knight Metal covers that look awesome. And like I said, I haven't read all of these books. I mean, because I will go into a comic book store and I'll see them and I'll grab like almost like 20 books. So of course I can't read 20 books. So I have to take my time and read them. 20 different books at that. But yeah, I have the Dark Knight Metals number 4, and they have different covers for that too. And I picked up 2 other different more covers. Same book, just different covers. I love the way this looks. I love the way that book looks. That is just an awesome looking book. Here's another one. They actually have another cover that I'm going to grab. I thought I grabbed it when I went last week. When I went Wednesday, I thought I had grabbed it, but I didn't. But I'm going to go back and I'm going to grab that very soon, very quickly. And my second video, I'm going to show you guys a lot more cooler books. A lot of my collection is definitely going to be new because I'm a new comic book collector. Like I said, I just started. So I'm a new comic book collector. A lot of my books are going to be new. I do look at the older books and stuff like that, and I have bought older books. But those books are, you know, they expensive. They like $40, $50, $60, $70, $80, $90, sometimes $1,000. So I'm going to work my way to buying those books, and I'm going to show you more of what I buy as long as I keep collecting comic books. And I guess that's it. Until next time, you guys. I'm so excited about this, guys. So thank you, and have a blessed day. Bye.